Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Valerie Saunders. I'm with the National Association of Mortgage Brokers, and we're excited to have our very first Lunch and Learn with Carl and Frank. Today we have Frank Garay, and this is going to be a weekly Lunch and Learn. Carl and Frank are going to alternate each week. So next week we'll have Carl White. They'll also maybe have some special guests one day. Just talking about a variety of things that will help you and your business. This is all being offered to you as part of our brand new platform, the NAM Concierge in our Success Center. And you'll be able to access the recordings of these through our Success Center YouTube channel that's available on the website. The website address is nambconcierge.com, nambconcierge.com. And so you'll be able to access these at your leisure after these sessions have finished. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Frank.
Thank you, Valerie, very much. So hi, everybody. Welcome. I'm Frank Garay with the National Real Estate Post, NREP Daily, and Listing Booster. And, glad to be here on the inaugural Lunch and Learn with us and Carl White. And this will be fun and easy today. I like the fact that we're doing these as lunch and learns. So if you are on the East Coast, maybe you got a sub sandwich on your desk or something like that, or what have you, just to kind of kick back and talk about some things of interest. And I do have a topic that I want to talk about today, and it's really the fact that in the industry, what we're starting to see, when I say in the industry, I mean the mortgage industry, what we're definitely starting to see is a shift coming. We've obviously enjoyed extremely low interest rates for a long time, and every time you think that, okay, that's over, suddenly it goes to another new low. And so I know everybody's pretty slammed these days and pretty busy. But we do know that there's a shift coming. Brian and I have spoken to several, industry big brains, if you will, and they're all saying that the rates are definitely going to start to swing up. And understand, when we say that the rates are going to swing up, we're not talking like it's going to go from 2 3/4 to 6. It may only go to 3.5, something like that, 3, 4, something like that. So still rates will be extremely low. And refinancing will still be viable, absolutely viable. It just won't be with the intensity that we're seeing today. And a lot of the big brains out there are thinking this is going to start to turn here over the next couple of months. I think we've been kind of seeing it a little bit already. So what that has caused to happen is Brian and I are also closely in touch with a lot of street level mortgage companies and originators, etc. And we're already feeling people and originators, I should say, thinking, yeah, man, like there's two places that we know are being kind of neglected right now. And it's not any fault of you guys. I mean, it's just, this is the nature of what's going on right now. But the two places that are struggling, or LOs are struggling with, as with respect to marketing is concerned, would be obviously their realtor partners. A lot of those partners are being neglected, and leads, right? Just lead follow-up is being neglected. So these are the areas that, starting today, really, we have to try to find a way to make some moves in those directions. We have to start trying to figure that out. So the shift, it's on the way, it's coming, and people are just trying to figure out, how do I start to make that maneuver over to the realtor side? And I think, as importantly, I think most of us on this call right now probably are sitting on a big giant pile of old leads that haven't been touched, or haven't been worked on, or anything like that. And so there's are two great resources for business, right? Your realtor partners and your laying around leads. that, as the transition makes its way down the path, you can be starting to work on now. And so, the question comes down to, well, how do I do it? I know a lot of us probably have loan officer assistants, or some of us probably do. And the loan officer assistant is a great thing to have, obviously, if they're structured properly. And I know Carl White will probably go over that with you guys quite a bit. He's so good at making sure that you make use of your assistants in a proper way. But I know a lot of us, either desire to have one or do have one, especially now that things are so busy. But what we tend to find happening is that the assistant doesn't necessarily produce more business, right? Which is kind of what we try to get the assistant to do. Keep in mind, I'm a very experienced originator. I started as a mortgage broker in January of 1987. And over the last few decades, have done it all, run my own brokerage, run large net branches. I ran a branch for Wells Fargo for a while. And so I'm real familiar with the management of originators and the management of administrators and assistants. And I would have to say that in my tenure, what I've seen as being in the management role for most of it, is that when originators wind up feeling like they're overwhelmed and they think they need to get an assistant, a lot of times the assistant doesn't necessarily help with the origination of any business. A lot of times the originator feels like, well, I'll have my assistant basically worry about all the loan stuff and I'll go and do marketing and I'll go find the new business. And I just never, it's rare that I ever see that happen, or had in the past. I usually see what winds up happening is that, both the loan officer and the assistant are just scrambling to get deals done, chasing pay stubs and W-2s and all that kind of stuff. And unfortunately, marketing kind of slips through the cracks, especially in these times, when there's so much business to get through the system. Assistants, typically it's going to be first, let's work on the loans. And then second, if there's any way to follow up on generating any new business, we'll work on that. And so I wanted to share a story with you. We do help mortgage companies with things like this, and we happen to be working with a smaller mortgage banker out of the Midwest right now, and we're having these meetings, with branch managers, and the dilemma of staying in touch with realtor and lead certainly has come up. And so there was a huge discussion with everybody on, well, what are we using and who's using what? And this particular company doesn't have necessarily a company mandated CRM that needs to be used by everybody. So there's managers all kind of have their own thing. And so it became a really big discussion about what the CRM does, or what does your CRM do, and how does it work, and what success are you finding there? And so this conversation went on for about 20 or 30 minutes, everybody sharing their different CRM experiences. And then one of the managers stepped up and pointed out, well, Bob over here seems to have the highest level of conversion on, with his, whatever he's doing, with his leads. So Bob, what are you doing that's, what CRM are you using, and what's happening, that's causing your branch to be better than the rest of them? And it was just so funny, to hear his answer, which was this. It was, well, what we do is when leads come into us through our various means of generating them, we just make sure we call them right away, and then we just follow up with them on the phone and text message them a lot. And that's what we do. And so everybody's just kind of going, yeah, phone them. Yeah, tell us more about this phone call thing. How does that actually work? Right? And so, because, a lot, the industry is so hell bent on technology that that we think it takes care of literally everything, and it does take care of a lot. We can't go without it, that's for sure. But this particular branch manager who was doing well with his lead conversion, better than the others, it was because they were just calling them. They were just staying in touch with them constantly. And they were calling them as soon as they would come in. And we'll talk about lead generation and stuff like that on another lunch and learn. But I just want to point out that you're probably sitting on a mountain of these leads that have been sitting around a while, and they're all these piles of leads that you guys are sitting on. There's business in them. There's new business in them. There's purchase business in them. And even if you've had them for a long time, because it doesn't really matter, because timing is everything. It's not that often that if you get a lead that you convert it immediately, right? It might take 1 out of 20, something like that, 1 out of 50 sometimes, and most leads convert later. They just convert later. So if you got a big pile of leads that's been sitting around for a year, that's probably ripe for the picking right now. And so with respect to, again, where I started on this whole thing, which was, the areas of neglect that we seem to have right now are our realtor partners and our leftover piles of leads. I will talk about realtor partners on my next one. But today, one of the quickest, easiest things we can do to make sure we're heading into the shift that's coming is to really dig up these piles of old leads and start working these leads again. So then, the question comes down to, well, what am I going to do in order to, work on these? Obviously, we established that we're swamped or buried. My loan officer assistant's chasing conditions. I don't know that we can sit down and start making phone calls to, these hundreds of leads or whatever that I've got sitting around. And so what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to employ a service, at least a service, not necessarily an employee. For lead follow-up, if it's just straightforward lead follow-up, right? Chasing down leads, seeing if they want to talk to you, I don't really think you need an employee for that. I think services are incredibly cheaper, and they are pretty effective. They are really effective if you can find a good one. I'm going to share one with you today that I think is a good one. If you're interested, the guys that do this lead follow-up, I don't get paid by them in any way. I'm not an affiliate of theirs or anything like that. So I'm not pointing you to them for money in any way, shape, or form. But we've started doing some work with them within the Listing Booster product, and they've been doing good. They've been producing. So I kind of wanted to have that conversation with you guys. And we are on a webinar, so I know you guys can either raise your hand or you can type into the chat box if you want. But I'd kind of like to, on this lunch and learn, just have a little bit of a conversation about this particular topic, and just see if I'm resonating with you at all right now, or if you're maybe what I'm talking about is old news to you and you've already got the services doing it and you're kicking ass with it. Maybe you could let us know what service you're using, who they are, and how much they cost, that kind of a thing. I think that would be great. So if you guys could start chatting me up a little bit in the chat box just about the nature of this first lunch and learn, if you think it's timely, and if this is interesting to you, or if you have interest in learning more about these conversion services that are out there. So I'm going to show you these guys real quick. I'll bring it up on the screen. I'll throw the link into the chat box and let you know you may want to look at this. These services are going to run you guys, these particular guys they're like $500 a month, and they'll do up to 200 leads a month. But what you have to understand is that's 200 new leads is what they mean. And and it's not that they don't just make one attempt at these leads. These guys literally work these leads forever. I mean, they are just pounding the living snot out of these leads. They do an initial phone call, and they will do a phone call if someone responds to a text. They will do a phone call. But so there's two for sure calls you're going to get. An initial one, can we help you? Then they're going to text. If somebody responds to that text, then they'll call. Their goal with this particular group, these guys, is to not only get a conversion for you, but they will go as far as working with you, figuring out what calendar system you work within, and they will actually put that conversion into your calendar for you to follow up on. So you'll wake up in the morning, look at your calendar, go, oh crap, there's an appointment there for me to call somebody. So you literally have a team of people over there just like grinding on these leads for you all day, like all the time. And I think they're like $500 a month, something like that, $400 or $500 a month. I'm going to pull up their website. We'll take a look and see. And if you put in, if you decide you want to give these particular guys a call or a try, and you want to work with them, I worked out a deal with you. So, and again, I have no money in this, none. NREP has no money. Carl White has no money in this. We're just handing them off to you. We did arrange a discount for you. It's if you use the code NREP for National Real Estate Post, NREP, you'll save $100 a month. But I want to bring this up and show it to you guys. So I'll share it. Let me bring this up first. And boom, boom, here they are. And now I'll share my screen. So you should see my screen right now, guys. And I think do we have a question? Yes, please share. Okay, good. So thank you. And that was from Aslam. So thank you, man. I appreciate you sending the question in. So these guys are called Conversion Pro. You can see here, I'll highlight this. I'll put this in the chat for you so you can just click it. So I'll paste it in there, and I'm sending it to everybody. These guys are friends of ours, Jeff and Brian. They're based out of Arizona. And they will literally take your big old pile of old leads and start working on it for you. That's what they'll do. They'll also take new leads. If you have some sort of other service, like for example, Listing Booster, that's a good lead generator, or some other system that's on autopilot, kind of generating leads over to you, you can have these leads drop immediately into these guys, and they work on those. So leads that come in right away get hit up right away, right, instantly. But they'll also take your big fat pile of leads and work on those for you pretty tirelessly and relentlessly. Again, we have been working with them with some of our Listing Booster clients, and our Listing Booster clients have been satisfied with them. So I think the cost for these guys, there you go, to 200 leads, $4.99 a month. But if you use the code, I'll put that in the chat too. Use code NREP. Use code NREP and save. I'm pretty sure he told me $100 a month. So you would be at $3.99 a month for up to 200. And the other thing too is one of the things that people worry about is where are the callers from? The accents and things like that turn people off. These guys, oops, my bad, sorry, I messed something up. These guys are all US based, all US based callers. That's what they do. The other thing that they do that's pretty cool for you that I don't know that others do, is what these guys do is they have a little interview with you first. They find out like what your thresholds are, like when can you take appointments, that kind of a thing. But what they'll also do for you is they'll say, well, what's your FICO threshold? Like where do you draw the line? And you'll let them know what that is. And so when they have a conversation with these leads, that is a question that gets asked, like, do you know what your FICO score is? And not everybody knows exactly what it is, but most people have a pretty good idea. The bottom line is this, is if they come across a lead of yours who engages with them, they have the conversation, and it turns out that that lead maybe needs a little help on the FICO score, they automatically enroll them into credit repair. Okay. And their credit repair company works with them. And if they get that score up, they bring them back to you. So that happens automatically with these guys. So it's kind of nice because they'll grind and grind and grind. They'll find people that want to talk to you. If they discover someone that kind of needs a little help, they automatically try and move them over to get that score improved for you. Okay. That's what they do. So, yeah, and then they try to put them into your calendar for you. $4.99 a month. You get put in NRAP. It's $3.99 a month, right? So again, NRAP has no affiliate with these guys. Nothing. They're not paying us a penny. I'm not doing this to try and make a couple bucks at NRAP. Not at all. I'm turning you on to them because they've done some work for us, and I know for a fact that right now, leads are definitely a neglected thing. And maybe you guys are doing great. I'm not saying every loan officer is neglecting a big old giant pile of leads that they've had in the past or that they've got right now, but I'm saying a lot have, and most have. And there's a lot of business in there if somebody would just work it for you. And at $3.95 a month that's a lot cheaper than hiring an employee. $3.99 a month, you've got somebody cranking on leads and getting people to respond. That's a good deal. That's a good deal. So that's kind of what I wanted to deliver to you guys today. I wanted to touch base on that and, just emphasize again that, Brian and I, we, oh, here we go. I got some questions. Oh, here we go. All right, let's see. What do they provide you pre-screened leads, or do I give them my leads and they will qualify them? You give them your leads. They don't. And when we say they qualify them, they don't really qualify them. They ask them a few questions, and they ask you questions that they're going to ask them and get your answer to what you're looking for, to make sure that when they ask those questions, if they fit what you're looking for, they'll move them over to you. That's basically what they do. But they're not generating the leads. They're just a cruncher, a grinder. So like a lot of originators, what they'll do is they'll do Zillow, spend thousands of dollars a month with an agent on Zillow and get these Zillow leads in. And then when the leads come in, they get touched once or twice and they get forgotten about. And then over the course of a year, suddenly you've got, a couple hundred Zillow leads, or a few hundred Zillow leads that really technically were not followed up on as effectively and as consistently as they should be. I'm just saying it nicely, right? In other words, between the loan officer and the real estate agent, the ball's dropped on those leads. A couple of quick calls get made, no interest, and they move on, right? But if they would stay in touch with those leads relentlessly, for the next couple of years, you're gonna find some people will pop up, because it's always about timing. It's always about timing. So what these guys will do for you is any new lead generation that you've got going on, maybe through one of those types of relationships, they'll work on them immediately when they come in for you. Or if you've got a pile of old leads that you have not done anything with, they'll work on them. This is why they've been kind of popular with some of our booster guys, because Listing Booster, we've got loan officers in Listing Booster that, over a period of a few years have like 7,000 leads. You know what I mean? And, these guys will jump in there and start cranking on them for you. So that's what they do. Can you please share company info and discount code? Yes, here it is. I put it in the chat. So if you find the chat box here on the GoToWebinar, I put the link. This is the company right here. If you can see my screen, I'm hoping you guys can see my screen. But it's conversion-pro.com. Okay, conversion-pro.com. That's who they are. And the code is NREP, like National Real Estate Post, NREP. Give them that code, and you'll save $100. You'll save $100 a month. So, yeah. So, and I see there's another question here. Well, the question that I have here from Aslam is, how much is listing booster and how does that work? I'll save that for not next week, but the week after. We'll talk about booster and what happens there. For this week, I just wanted to, like I said, I know that we've got things that are neglected as originators out there, one of them being our realtor partners, one of them being leads. I wanted to do what I thought was kind of the easiest thing first, you know, which is just let's tend to the leads, right? If we've got a pile of leads laying around, you know, for a few $100 a month, you can get a team cranking on those things. As we're heading into the shift of our pipelines dwindling, which is going to happen, right? If it's not already, that would be a quick and easy way to get something going. Here's you just give them your list of leads and start paying them your money, and you can still run around like a chicken with your head cut off trying to get your deals done that are in the pipeline right now. And in the meantime, these guys are working all those leads. That's what I thought would be helpful today. As far as generating leads and staying in touch with the realtor partners, I'll talk about that next week, or not next week, but the week after. Carl's doing next week, and I guarantee you Carl will have better stuff that I'm talking about. But he'll be on next week. But the week after that, I promise you, if you want to come back the week after that, I'll get into the realtor side of things and how we can help there. And you know, we'll do that. So this is pretty much what I wanted to go over with you today, guys. I'm at 30 minutes, which is really the amount of time that I felt would be good to spend on a lunch and learn. And so I'm pretty much done unless there's any other questions. Again, conversionpro.com, conversion-pro.com. Use the code NREP. Emphasizing, I don't make a penny off it. I'm not doing this to try and get money in my pocket at all. I'm letting you know about these guys because they're US based. They'll put leads that need help into credit repair for you automatically. They'll screen all your leads and call them and do their best to convert them and actually put the lead appointment into your calendar for you. That's what they do. Up to 200 new leads a month will come in. You know, it can come in to them for $4.99 is what they say, but with the NREP code, you'll get it for $3.99. That's right here. You know, you'll just save $100. So if you wanted to do 300 leads, you'll get it for $4.99. If you want to do this, you get it for $5.99. So whatever you want to do, you know, they'll do that. It'll save you $100. So if there's nothing else, I don't see that there is. I would like to just thank you guys and appreciate you showing up on this first Lunch and Learn with Frank and Carl. And you know, please tune in next week for about 30 to 45 minutes of total awesomeness with Carl White. He's always got great stuff. Always, always, always. And then the following week, I'll be back. And the following week, I'll talk about realtors. And I'll talk about what we're doing and see if that makes sense to you. If it does, great. If not, no big deal. But even it'll still help you, no matter what. So I thank you guys so much for being here. I don't see any other questions, and we will catch up with you guys later. Have a great day. Adios.